This is the Thriving Artist Podcast with Andrea Fleming, where we talk about how to go from surviving as an artist to thriving as an artist. Let's go.
So is it like getting agent season or something? Because I swear, I feel like every single person is looking for an agent right now. Maybe that's always happening. I mean, I know people are always looking for agents, but I feel like this conversation is coming up so much. And I'm talking to people about agents all the time. But one of the common questions that comes up is, what is the best agency? And I felt like it was so important to have a conversation about this. I have conversations on my podcast. So I was like, let me make a podcast episode about this. Because I don't think that's a really helpful question to have an answer to. What is the best agency? Here's why I think it's not a helpful question. Because not only is best an opinion, but it's also completely relative. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. So some things that would make an agent best for you would not actually make an agent best for the person that you're asking. And it's so important to know this and to understand what those things are and how to make that distinction, so that when you're having conversations with people, you are able to filter the conversation to get the information that you need for yourself. Right? It doesn't mean that you can't talk to people who maybe aren't having the same career goals or agent goals as you. It doesn't mean that at all. But what it means is you need to know which questions to ask them so that you can decide if you're asking for a referral, if their agent is a good fit for you, or if you're asking for ideas for agencies, they know which agents to recommend to you because you know how to filter and give them the information that they need and get the information that you need so that you can exchange that agency information. I use information a lot. Sorry, it was weird. Anyway, so here are some things that come to my mind. I've had this conversation like 4 times in the past few days. So these are the things that have come up for me in these conversations as being like the most common ways that you know what would make an agent best for you. One that supports where you are in your career journey, like your current place in your entire journey and trajectory of your career, right? Because it's going to be different, right? The agent that's right for someone who's launching their career many times is not the best agent to be paired with as someone who is like a seasoned artist. Sometimes that overlaps, sometimes, but not always. And you want to know that, right? You want to know that you're looking for someone who can support exactly where you are in your career journey, and not someone who can support where you think you should be, or not someone who supports where you want to be in the future. No, someone who can support where you are right now, because they are going to be helping you take the now steps to move you forward to where you want to be. 2, one that suits your actual career goals. So you're asking, who's the best agency? But the best agent for someone who wants to be a regular on Broadway is probably not going to be the same agent that wants to be a series regular on SVU, or who wants to be a film co-star or guest star or whatever, or supporting lead. I still don't know all of the lingo for film, but it's right. But they're not the same categories of goals. So the agent who would be best suited for one might not be best suited for the other. Sometimes there's overlaps. There are definitely agencies out there that try to do everything for everyone, but that's not the rule. That's more the exception. 3, you want one you can create a good relationship with. I feel like actually this should have been number 1, because if you don't have a good relationship with your agent, then they're probably not doing anything for your career, right? Relationship is the foundation of the agent partnership, the agent actor partnership. It's like, it's even hard for me to say that without saying the relationship, right? It's an actual relationship that you have. It's a business relationship. So you have to be able to have a good relationship with them. So if you are basing it on what someone else thinks is the best agency, then you are not guaranteed to get someone that you would have a good relationship with, right? Because someone else might be like, oh, I need as minimal communication as possible. I want someone who's super stoic, who's always down to business, who doesn't want me to go out for anything else because they want to direct my career. If you're someone who needs lots of communication and you want someone who's more of a friend or personal energy, that you get to kind of share what you want and they help you to get that, then that's not going to be the same person as your friend, right? That's not going to be the same agent that they think is best. So you need to know that about yourself. What are the things that you are looking for in a relationship? And you need to be able to share that with someone and know that that is going to have that whoever that person is on the other end of the relationship, that's the best agent for you. Otherwise it's going to be counterproductive. Trust me. Oh my gosh. I don't know how many friends I have in this business who tell me like it's not working out with their agent. And it's usually they think their agent is a problem. But what really is happening is that they just didn't pick the right partnership, right? They just didn't pick who would be a best fit to be in a relationship with, right? They don't have the same communication styles. The energies don't match. It's not the agent's fault. It's not your fault. It's actually that you guys just aren't a good match and you just didn't know how to filter for that before. And finally, one of the top things that come to mind is you want an agent who actually believes in you and your potential and is inspired by your work. Otherwise, what are we doing? Right? If you have someone who doesn't think you're going anywhere, who doesn't think that you're talented and skilled, they're probably not going to submit you for stuff. So we don't want don't want to just have a general recommendation for an agency that's like a good agency and then they don't even connect to your work. And I highly doubt they would take you on as a client, but if they did, they would just be adding you to a pile, right? Because they're not actually doing anything to benefit your career. So you need to know that. You need to know that you are looking for someone who you can genuinely see is inspired by what you do, who believes in you, who gets excited to submit you, who gets excited when they're talking to you and you're in your agent meeting, they are excited talking about the potential of your career. That's who you want, not some generic like, oh, so-and-so best agency of NYC, big name. Like that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for someone who's actually going to be beneficial for your career. And not every agency is going to be beneficial for your career, regardless of if someone thinks they're the best. So now that I got that out of the way and I had my little soapbox moment, I want you to consider these points. I want you to consider that there is no such thing as a best agent. There's a such thing as bad agents, for sure. There's such a thing as people who are not good at their job, and people who are good at their job. But within the bubble of people who are good at their job, there's no such thing as the best. There's only what's best for you. And I want you to consider these points that I offered you to figure out what that category of people would look like, and also come up with some points that are important to you. I don't know any that off the top of my head that might come up. Maybe you want someone who is a crossover agency. Maybe you want a bi-coastal agency, right? I guess that would fall into the bucket of suiting your career goals, but think of those things as well. What would make it best for you is that you need to be repped in multiple locations, that you need to be repped in multiple fields, or what do we call it? You know what I'm talking about. You need to be repped in TV and film and theater and commercial, whatever it is. So think of those things for you. What would make it the absolute best setup for you? One way to do this is to come up with, like, if you were to think of your dream agent and your dream partnership, or your dream result out of having an agent. What are all the things that you think that you create from having an agency? And what would it take from an agent, or who would they need to be in order for those things to happen? That will kind of help you figure out what the best agent for you might look like. Now, that is to me, the most important question you can answer in order to find the best agent for you. To me, after you've answered those questions, it kind of is like, it's like what is that? It's like an inevitable process of finding an agent after that, because you already know how to filter for them. And so it's just a matter of like figuring out what their name is. But let me share with you a little bit of what I have found is like the how-to of getting an agent, and it just makes it so easy to get an agent. Like there are, of course, strategies that you would take. But here are the top two things that I think about when I think about going out and getting an agent. Like when I was looking for my commercial agent, when I was looking for my legit agent, and then when I started thinking about, okay, I want to be have rep for TV and film. What I knew is that I needed to have a great product, and I also needed to get my work in front of agencies, right? I needed to show agencies my work. And those are the only two things that you ever need to think about when you're thinking about, okay, now how do I do it, right? If you know exactly who you're looking for and you're like, okay, now how do I do it? Literally only two things that you ever need to think about. Don't even let your brain entertain anything else. There's nothing else. There's zero things else. Have a great product, show agents your work. There's no like the equivalent of a get rich quick scheme. There's no like shortcut to finding an agent after that. You just have to do those two things. That's how you do it. So having a great product, what does that entail? You've heard this before, I'm sure of it. Putting together a reel or portfolio of your work and prioritizing improving your craft so you can make that portfolio better and better and better, right? That might mean investing in lessons or training, asking for free feedback from industry professionals, asking for feedback from industry professionals and trusted peers, getting better at self-evaluating, and setting up regular focused practice, right? So that as you're improving your craft, Lordy, I cannot talk. As you're improving your craft, you have more opportunities to get new materials so that you can have a product to show an agency. And then showing agencies your work. Super simple. Just get in front of as many agents as possible. Now, if you are one of those people where they like, please give me every single detail of how to do it, I'll give you a few suggestions, but it's not an exhaustive list. I want you to stretch your brain and get creative on how you could do this. But here's some examples. Asking for referrals, doing agent showcases, literally submitting your materials to an agency. That can be email, that can be snail mail, although I think it's less and less common now to do snail mail, but I've heard of people even still going in person and just dropping off their materials. Get creative, okay? Because the important part is that you just get the materials in front of the people. Of course, there are going to be agencies that have preferences. Of course, some people are going to be annoyed, but the right person for you is going to be happy that you put your materials in front of their face, okay? So again, have a great product. Make sure you're constantly updating your reel or your portfolio with your best work. And then just getting your work in front of agents. That's it. It is really, I swear to you, I promise you, it's that simple. I've had 3 agents and now I found representation in TV and film, but it's also an agent that I already have. But I've gone through this process 4 times, 4 times, something like that. And this is literally all that it is. I swear to God, I swear. Once I knew who I was looking for, all I had to do was make sure that these 2 things happen, having a good product and showing agents my work. Now, getting it done is different than knowing how. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to actually get it done, because I don't know why that even though these things are simple, we still manage to get in our own way when it comes to very simple things. So when it comes to actually creating a great product, here's what I want you to consider. I want you to consider that you need to throw out all of these crappy thoughts that prevent you from getting it done, such as, I don't have any good footage, or I don't need more training, or training is expensive. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know how to get better. I shouldn't have to keep training. I don't want to show people my flaws. All those thoughts suck. Not only do they make you feel bad, but they do not inspire you toward the action of creating an amazing product that you can show agents that will actually move your career forward. When you're telling yourself, I don't have any good footage, that's not helpful. Go make the footage. When you're telling yourself, I don't need more training, not helpful, because if your current product is not working, then clearly there's a disconnect. And there's something, either you need feedback, you need training, or you need to change up something, right? So telling yourself these things is not helpful. Here are the thoughts again. I don't have any good footage. I need more I don't need more training. Training is expensive, not helpful. Just go find a way to make the money so that you can afford training. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know how to get better. I don't know thoughts. This is me interjecting. I don't know thoughts are some of the most useless thoughts you can ever think. And I'm not saying anything bad about you. We literally all have them. I have I don't know thoughts all day long, every single day. And they're the most useless thoughts that I have because they don't actually get me anywhere. How does it help you to tell yourself, I don't know? What helps you instead is to figure out the information, like to know, to learn, to figure it out, or to find an alternative. Okay, maybe you don't know that, but what do you know? What are things that are helpful? So stop telling yourself, I don't know. I shouldn't have to keep training. I shouldn't is like in top 2 with I don't know of useless thoughts. You shouldn't have to. What does that mean? Who cares? Who cares what you should or shouldn't have to do? That's irrelevant. Do what needs to be done. I don't want to show people my flaws. And listen, I totally get this one. It's totally scary. This is a very vulnerable profession, very vulnerable. Our art form is very vulnerable. So it is scary. It's scary because it's personal. We're putting ourselves out there, but this is not a thought that's going to help you to move forward. Here's what I want you to consider thinking instead. And as I go through these, if you get inspiration for other thoughts that work better for you, please take those thoughts instead. This is not an exhaustive list and it's not the Bible of thoughts. These are just thoughts that I have found help me and help my clients. What you can think instead, I can find good footage of my performing, right? If you're thinking, I don't have any good footage, a lot of times that's actually not true. I've caught myself thinking this and then proving myself wrong multiple times. This is crazy. This has literally happened to me multiple times when I'm updating my reel or I am looking for material to put on my Actors Access profile. Shoot, I don't have any good footage of my performing. Nothing shows what I can do right now. When I catch myself thinking that, I go, okay, heard. And also, what if I did have good footage? Maybe I can find good footage. And then 9 times out of 10, I'll say even 9.5 times out of 10, I'll be looking through my files and going, oh, I forgot we did that. Oh, this is pretty good. I kid you not. This happens almost every single time. I don't think I actually have ever sought out recording new footage for the sake of my reel because I always end up finding footage after I've told myself I don't have any good footage. So I can find good footage is a very helpful thought, or at least I'm willing to look for good footage is a very helpful thought because there might actually be some good footage in your files and your brain is trying to keep you from looking for it because it doesn't want to do any work. If you don't have any good footage, let's say you looked for good footage and you just really couldn't find any that you felt was suitable or appropriate. What you can tell yourself is, I can get creative and make my own footage. Why not? Why stop at, oh, I just don't have any good footage? Why would you stop yourself there and prevent yourself from moving forward? I can get creative. I can make my own footage. I literally just did this a couple months ago. The thought that I was having wasn't, I don't have any good footage. I was having some thought like, what was it? I think it was more so like, I just wanted to show more variety on my reel. And I was like, oh, I don't have any more variety to put up there. I have my best footage up. It's really, really good, but I don't have anything else recorded that I could show. And then I caught myself thinking that, and I was like, wait a second, hold on. Why don't I just record some new stuff? I have a book full of songs. I have a book full of monologues. Why don't I just literally record those and upload them? Ding. It seems so simple and so not genius at all, but I promise you, in the midst of these thoughts, we are not thinking like this. We are so disempowering to ourselves, and these thoughts seem like a light bulb moment. So try it on. And then one final thought in this category that I want to offer you is, the footage I have is good enough to start. And here's why I think this is a super powerful thought, because you might find, okay, you don't find any footage that you think is amazing, that you think is the best representation of your work, and you don't have time right now, or you're not willing to make the time to create new footage in the next week or whatever, but you have something that you need to submit for soon. What you can tell, oh, where did my lights go? Sorry for the people watching on video. I'm just going to finish this point and then I will figure out the light situation. But you can tell yourself, that the footage you have is good enough to start. Why would you take yourself out of the running, right? If you have footage that you've been using and it's gotten you gigs before, it's gotten you callbacks before, it's gotten you somewhere, why wouldn't you just use what you have for now? If you have something coming up and like, let's say you have an agent meeting and it just came out of nowhere, you were just like, oh my gosh, somebody referred me and this agent wants to meet right now. Why wouldn't you just use what you have and just have a conversation around it? Right? Hey, this is the footage I have right now. Actually, it's not the best representation of my work right now. I've been in class, I've been getting a lot better, and I'm working on getting new footage, but I just wanted to show you something, what I have been using to submit myself. So